Ever wondered what makes TV so powerful in Jamaica? Time to find out. Welcome to Global TV Group 358, where television meets innovation. We're not just about shows, we're about shaping society. In Jamaica, TV keeps you informed, connects diverse voices, and supports democracy. Imagine a Jamaica where broadcasters unite, sharing data and collaborating globally. That's us, a unified voice in the TV industry. Did you know TV advertising is still king? It drives website traffic, boosts brand equity, and powers integrated campaigns. Even in an age of digital, TV stands strong, resilient in tough times. Our global TV deck is your treasure trove of insights and data. With charts, graphs, and success stories, it's your guide to impactful TV advertising. Curious to learn more? Visit our website and see how Global TV Group 358 keeps television at the heart of entertainment in Jamaica. Get ready to binge watch the future.
Put me again, you can't put me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. Can't buy scandal, we can't buy time. You can't put me again. Can't put me again. You can't put me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. You touch up line and I resort to crime. You can't put me again.
What fi go to eat no money, what fi at you, eat no at you. Covid money, miss away in the year, look rat you. Use the youth, the money, waste for most of man statue. Say me like a catch you, but me got in a figure you. Take the spit of money, girl, and say that is not you. One day the man above end up in my gut up. Too much it in the kitchen, some a fly by like a patu. The singers and DJs and social media's coming at you.
It burn me,
300% raise.
it burn me,
Garbage pile up the day.
it burn me,
Give the teacher them
it
raise.
burn me,
I see corruption face.
it burn me,
Mash down the people them house.
it burn me,
Every day appear arms out.
it burn me,
Appear money them a thief.
it burn me.
And them a sell out the beach.
Can't put me again. You can't put me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. Can't buy scandal, we can't buy time. You can't put me again. Can't put me again. You can't put me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. You touch up line and I resort to crime. You can't put me again.
Come me say big up all the charities and all of the givers. Some a go like say them powerful, me no make a bigger. The already promises none of them not deliver. Cut up the youth and rough and they down in our fever. Member bold money and they lie them tell. Corruption smell and they pocket them swell. When police don't a market like Satan out of hell, go mash up people start like thief when them sell.
It burn me,
Or they treat the market man.
it burn me,
Or them a treat the cat man.
it burn me,
Or them treat the peanut man.
it burn me,
Or them a treat the dirt man.
it burn me,
Or them a treat the sound man.
it burn me,
Or them a treat policeman.
it burn me,
How them a treat soldier man.
it burn me.
How them a treat everyone.
Can't put me again. You can't put me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. Can't buy scandal, we can't buy time. You can't put me again. Can't put me again.
Stevie dim day. We in Global TV says certain kind of friend we no cape. And some informer friend we love lake. We in Global, but a fake friend and but a thief. We in Global, we not promote them, we not support them. Look at them and she come here represent for. We in Global TV. Check it.
If you're tapping in from London, good evening, good afternoon to you. If you are tapping in from the Eastern timeline, welcome this evening to Drive Time London, Lunchtime Global. We will look for you this evening in our brief program at another wife and husband in our political spheres in Jamaica. Portland people, when they come here to this evening, Share the live with Portland people, because Portland people may come to this evening, to my community of party and all my family members, platform moderators, membership holders, via subscribers, commenters, and trolls. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Debbie Jervis TV. Good evening, Renice Nicholson, Karen Wagwan, bro, you all right? Susan McIntosh, good evening. Daphne Jackson, good evening. Let me see who is on the tick. Lyndon Maximum Brown, good evening, good evening. All and welcome. Oh, come Portland people go on like say, Anne Marie Vaz'S, nah, do nothing. But do you know, it may come as a surprise to you, given Favor's performance yesterday. But do you know, there are actually dumber than Favor in our parliament? Do you know that there's actually more dismal of a performance than Favor Williams in our parliament? Hey, Jesus. We're going to look at the working wife this evening, and we're going to look at the poor bedazzled husband as well, and his performance in front of the Finance Standing Committee. More and more we pay attention, we really get to understand why nothing in our country works. The very fanatics at the top of the pecking order, who are meant to do the go-ons and the go-ons in, they are very confused, bewildered, and more you see these poor old, bewildered, confused lots of sod. Miss Wholeness is looking more and more intelligent, understandable, and know what she's doing. Hey, Jesus. We in a problem, you know. Don't know how big the problem is, but we're in a problem. Let's show the people of Portland that Ann Vaz'S actually does something, as opposed to what you all might think that she does.
My Portland family, today we are in Reach. That is where you find the famous Reach Hall. And this is the road on the way to Pickles Zone. We are here with the emergency patching going on. My Portland family, before you talk about this train, I want to remind you all that this is not road rehabilitation. It's just emergency patching so that we can start and deliver on the road until such time. How do you feel when you know sex reach road up?
Portland people, how do you feel, Portland people? When you know, say, you have road, Portland people. How do you feel when you know, say, you have road? Ann does many things. This is not the only thing that Ann does. Come on. Ann got a lot in her bag. She can pull out many stops, isn't it? Dear Ann. Dear Ann can pull out tantamount if you give her the chance.
And today we are at Springbank, where same thing.
Let's play the first one again, Rennie.
Around Django Gully. As I said, you can see for yourself, work is going on right across the constituency. How you feel when you know, say, Springbank finally getting your bit?
How do you feel, Portland people, when you know Springbank is getting carpet? Hmm? You show them say I work here, me
Yes,
dear.
yes. But
And I make
in
them
a
take
good
me back
way.
here like, you know,
Then
what
press
pie
out right
crispy
here so we
and
can move on.
we're looking at the wife
My
before we get to the
important family,
husband.
I'm urging you to be careful on the road and to
Do
be
the petty
patient
society.
because at the end of it all, it's going to happen. Yeah, peaceful life, you know, in the problem.
You know, I want like say something no wrong. Hmm? Jesus, soul have mercy, my God.
See the
Hmm?
tractor
Put the working
coming
man
up
them in a trouble.
with the
Come on.
golden carpet.
Golden carpet, Portland people. Oh, not turn back to Portland people. Portland people come here. Somebody call the people in Portland.
When you come back, by tomorrow morning, all of this, you will be just dancing on that.
Do you remember? Let me find back the first one that Renice asked me to play back. Do you remember how Darrell Vaz spoke about how hard, you see, his wife worked? Hmm? Darrell Vaz's wife works hard. I mean, skipping, hopping, and jumping on bad road, it's quite hard work, isn't it, Miss Vaz? Skipping, hopping, and jumping on bad road. It have to be hard work. Cause the road bad.
My important family, today we are in Reach. That is where you find the famous Reach Hall. And this is the road on the way to Eccleston. We are here with the emergency patching going on. My important family, before we talk about this race, I want to remind you all that it's not road rehabilitation. It's just emergency patching so that we can start
Sharon Bernard, how are you?
the road on
Keith,
such time.
Marcia.
How you feel when you know sex reach road up?
You may be of the view that this is terribly well hard work for a minister. You could see how hard the minister was putting in the work. I mean, we cannot dispute that, can we? The minister worked very hard. And if you think that was hard work for the minister, you're going to see, or not the minister rather, the MP, sorry. If you don't think that was hard work, let's us show you how hard this MP can work and how much this MP is doing for the people of Portland. Welcome to the Barmy Army.
Like snake in the grass, one with your fitness and your right back. One with your fitness and your right back. Say you thought was a friend, now we lock it like that. Coming on the life like snake in the grass. One with your fitness and your right back. Well, I don't want time to be lucky for you, my friend. I ain't a Coming on the life like snake in the grass. One with your fitness and your right back. One with your fitness and your right back. Say me thought was a friend, now we lock it like that. Coming on the life like snake in the grass. One with your fitness and your right back. Well, I don't want time to be lucky for you, my friend. I in a good spirit. I drink in a good spirit. The vibe right up to the limit. Hold me long. no fighting, no, yeah. Good spirits. I think in a good spirits. The vibes and cause in a minute. So don't hold me down, don't fight me down, yeah. Friend, I get good at telling you, hey, buddy. Rest it. Good call. Like taking out the grass. Wow, with your fitness in the right man. Wow, with your fitness in the right man. Say me thought was a friend and me lucky like that. Coming on me like snaking out the grass. Wow, with your fitness.
It would be unfair for any of us to make up any stories on the minister that the minister is not a hard worker. I think the minister, no minister, the wife of the minister, the MP, I think she has demonstrated to us groundbreaking ceremony for Mount Nelson House. We're not time for you right now, Andrew. Darrell, where I go to you now. Darrell Vaz, if you think Favor was pitiful, then you ought to focus. Zoom in on Darrell Vaz.
Madam Chair, in terms of the last question, it had.
Let's cut out Dana. I want you to have a look at the interaction between Darrell Vaz and, is it Philip Paulwell, the one who shadows him, or the one who understands, it would appear, Darrell Vaz's portfolio, and carefully look at the fingering of paper by Darrell Vaz and, the Backswood man, the fingering of paper on the confusion that ensued from the fingering of the paper. Let's take it away with Minister Vaz.
Definitively is that SMA is ready and waiting for any application. And I suspect that the application process would be similar to what transpires now. I don't have the actual details as it relates to that, but I can't see being much different to the processes that are at hand now.
But when you say there's no application,
hold on, let me roll it back a bit.
And
would raise it immediately. And that is the technical support services for energy and GPE, generation procurement entity 265.163 has a proposed support of GPE has a proposed support of 120.686 million. The remainder of the budget supports the energy portfolio of 144.477. The government of Jamaica continues to prioritize the expansion of renewable energy with a structured and cost-effective framework. The IRP, Integrated Resource Plan,
Patrick
serves
Mendes,
as a critical tool to effective generation planning and strategic expansion of renewable energy. We are all aware the government has granted 100 megawatts on new generation capacity, with another 220 megawatts set to be tendered in this financial year. New JPS license. Ministry has commenced negotiations for a new Jamaica Public Service license engaging the Inter-American Development Bank, IDB, to provide international expertise with Jamaicans to benefit. The concerns from the citizenry, and particularly those who were exacerbated during the passage of Hurricane Beryl, will factor significantly in this process. The OER is currently providing input and necessary adjustments to the license so that all relevant aspects are covered towards providing
Estonia, thank you.
To the nation.
Welcome.
Just to say that there's no two ways about it, that the license comes up in 27. It's a requirement for us to start the process of negotiation from 2025, and that we have started already in earnest. But it cannot be done without getting the necessary expertise to support the energy division of the ministry to make sure that we get it right. Oil and gas, government still has a production sharing agreement with United Oil and Gas in place, and the current work program in effect through January 26. As I have indicated before, so far no oil has been discovered, And there is a request on the table from oil and gas, which I'll be taking to cabinet as it relates to further extensions. I think I can stop there because I could go on and on for a few hours, but I think that I have touched on the major. Yes, I'll deal with the rest of it in the sectoral to come. But I would need an extension in the sectoral, I can tell you from now. Thank you again, and let me just thank the team that has supported me. This would be my fifth sitting of the Finance Committee as Minister
Violet
of
Watson.
Science, Energy, Telecommunications, and my second year with transport. Thank you very much for the support, and I look forward to continuing for a few more years to go.
Thanks, Minister. Member Paula?
Thank you very
Right
much,
now, the
Madam
confusion
Chair.
starts between them.
The conduct of this segment will be
Skinny,
myself,
how are
who
you?
will deal with science, energy, telecommunications, and my colleague, Mr. Phillips, who will deal with transport, and we'll take them in turn. Minister, if we could then look at telecommunications within the context of science and technology portfolio. And one thing I think we have to start by, firstly, thanking your team for being here. But as you know, we are missing Dr. Daniel Dawes,
Yes.
who headed the USF. So at this time, we want to send out a special tribute to the team at USF and to the family of Dr. Dawes, who served our country well. I would like to, yes, I'd like to turn to telecommunications, and you had mentioned the most recent issue of outages. By the way, Madam Chair, in this segment, we do focus a lot on the public bodies, and at the end of the segment, we would, I just put those public bodies in the ministry to the vote as well. So the questioning will surround much of about the policies and programs that we're seeing here. But in relation to telecoms, Minister, you've mentioned about the outages and some plans you have for the future, but I think the country has to acknowledge that the quality of service has fallen tremendously, especially about the reliability of telecommunication services, 3G and otherwise. And I was wondering whether or not the ministry, even though you're not the main regulator, but you do hold the licenses, what is going to be done to enable the improvement in telecommunication services in Jamaica, where we see a continuation of the dropping of calls. We're seeing now people are relying much more on WhatsApp calls than regular calls to the network. And what are the plans to enable a return to the expected high standards that we've had before?
Thank you, member. So in 2024, the telecommunications quality of service standard rules were implemented. These rules impose on licensed the requirement to measure and report on 21 fixed and mobiles quality of standard parameters, including drop call rate, mobile network availability, broadband internet availability, rate, and latency. So as of 20 March 14, 2025, we expect to get a report on that, and thereafter the office is expected to undertake assessments of these reports. So there is a reporting mechanism, and I do agree with you that the quality of service is a concern in and outside of the acts of vandalism, hence the reason for the quality of service parameters. OUR, as you know, plays a critical role in that, and we are working in tandem with them.
You mentioned about 5G. Is the ministry actively pursuing the adoption of 5G technology? And what will be the process?
So
Gracious
as
one,
it stands
welcome.
now, there has been no appetite, for want of a better word, for 5G. I think the providers in Jamaica feel that they still have a far way to go in terms of the technology that they're using. What I can say definitively is that SMA is ready and waiting for any application. And I suspect that the application process would be similar to what transpires now. I don't have the actual details as it relates to that, but I can't see it being much different to the processes that are at hand now.
But when you say there's no appetite, you mean from consumers? Because I certainly have an
Well,
appetite.
put it this way: for the consumers to be able to, the consumers may have the appetite, but it's a financial plan that the telecom providers have to decide in terms of whether or not there is return on investment for that, or whether or not they can achieve their objectives with their existing spectrum without spending tens or hundreds of millions of US dollars to upgrade to 5G. So we are ready as a government, we are ready as a regulator, but obviously that decision as to when we will move towards 5G is strictly in the ambit of the telecoms providers and the market.
A lot of the ministry's focus over the last 2 years has been on universal service fund. And yesterday we did ask the minister about the USF and the support. You are projecting a deficit of $2 billion in this financial year. Coming from when the fund was established, I remember in the first 3 or so years, we had accumulated about $14 billion. I want to inquire in relation to the $14 billion. Was all of that utilized by the USF during the period? And for this year, what is it that the Ministry of Finance will be giving you? Because just now you said 300 million, and I'm sure we heard the minister saying 800 million yesterday. So I would like to understand clearly how much money will USF be getting in support this year? And in that regard also, to understand what is going to happen to the viability of USF. My colleague 5 years ago or more had proposed ways, or certainly brought to the attention of the government, the fact that the funds were being depleted, the revenues were being lessened year over year, and that we needed to look at additional revenue streams for USF.
So we have $4 billion left out of the 14 billion.
So why you don't use that? Why don't you get that back from the Ministry of Finance?
But we're using it as needed.
But you're saying that you're going to have a deficit of $2 billion in this year's budget. So if you have $4 billion.
My peeps, my system has gone blank on me at this end. Let me know if you can hear me. I'm monitoring the chat from my phone. Let me know if you can still hear what's going on, please.
That is somewhere. Why not bring that to the fore and use it? And
okay.
How would the Ministry of Finance allow you to?
We have $1.316 billion that is allocated for broadband, plus the USF allocation for this financial year.
All right, so that 1.316, where is that money? Is it money that is in the USF accumulated over time? Because if you have that, how are you projecting a deficit of $2 billion?
So we have the $4 billion in the consolidated fund. We draw down on that money and as we need to. In the financial year that we are now, we have made an allocation, as we said, of 1.3 plus whatever the recurrent is for USF for this financial year. It is not unlikely, as has happened in previous years, that we do go back during the course of the year for additional funding if it is that we are able to spend. It is one thing to have the allocation. It is the other thing to be able to spend the money within the financial year, which is always a challenge based on procurement. So the fact of the matter is that $4 billion out of the $14 billion is left. We have the consultant that we have brought on to give us ideas as to how and what can be done to enhance the fund and the flows based on the fact that we all know that there has been a significant decline.
The difficulty we have, Minister, is rationalizing what you are saying now with what was said to us yesterday. And I specifically asked the Minister of Finance, how much money will the ministry be allocating to USF? And I was told 800 million. So
300 and something million.
So it's 300 million.
I said it earlier.
Well, I'm going back to my notes from yesterday. So if
I wasn't here yesterday, so I can't speak for what the minister says.
But I still need to understand.
I'm speaking to what is in my brief here, and that is in relation to the funds for Universal Service Fund, which is 300. What's the figure? 300 million. The sum of 1.316 is proposed to be allocated. The additional 500 requested to support broadband activities is a replacement of the 500 which was reallocated in 24-25 to support the Universal Service Fund. So the 1.316 that I mentioned is in there, and it is 300 million for, I'm trying to find the exact figure for you under the, you have the exact figure for the Universal Service, 300 and something million? $300 million.
All right, so just to be clear, you're projecting a deficit of $2 billion. You've said that 1.316 has been allocated to deal with some specific projects.
Yeah, that will come from the consolidated fund.
No, but I thought we're just told that it's 300 million from the consult fund. Is it 300 million or 300 million plus 1.3?
300 million plus the 1.316 is specific to broadband. The National Broadband Initiative. The other 300 is in relation to the budget for the Universal Service Fund for 25-26.
All right, so 1.6 is what you're getting from the Ministry of Finance.
Yes.
And not 300.
But I've said that 3 times.
No. Minister, in your presentation just now, you did say, and that's the reason why I've been alerted. If you didn't say so, then it wouldn't be so frontal. You said that 300 million is the funds that you intend to get from the Ministry of Finance. But you're saying now that it is not 300, but 300 plus 1.316.
I read it earlier, and I've repeated it 3 times.
Right.
2 different allocations. One for the Universal Service Fund in relation to their budget for the 25-26, and 1.316, which is for the National Broadband Initiative.
So what is your deficit? What will be the deficit for this year? No, allow the minister.
I'm not following you.
He's asking if there's a deficit. If you said you had 2 billion.
No, it will be the same deficit as what? You're saying here that it's 2 billion that will be in deficit. Is the deficit going to remain 2 billion after the allocations, 1.6 billion, or it will lower that deficit by 1.6? Yes.
So what I'm being told is that the request from Universal Service Fund was for $900 million for their activities outside of the national broadband, for which they got an allocation of 300 million. So there is a deficit of 600 million in relation to what they asked for and what they got.
That was 400
million. Open and listen well.
Yeah.
Miss Screen, come back now.
I think the challenge is if you have a total deficit figure reporting, the member is trying to ascertain
me telling all the while, say better Juliet there the finance
of
ministry.
Allocation from the Ministry of Finance, whether it be for broadband, whether it be for broadband or for USF or anything else. If those figures are to be taken out of the deficit and you still have a deficit, and would you be able to say what is that net deficit figure?
So I will have to get that information. Okay, but the fact of the matter is that a deficit is nothing new. We have a deficit every year. So if you want to get into that specific detail, I'll have the information. I'll have them work on it and present it before we're finished.
I think you made a comment, Minister, that whatever the deficit is, as is customary, you would go back to the Ministry of Finance as usual.
All depending on how and what happens during the financial year. It has happened before where we have gone back. It has happened before when we have not gone back. I can't predict how long the programs are going to be and the procurement is going to take.
The only reason why it is so frontal now is because the book is saying that the deficit is going to be $2 billion. And that is a serious deficit. And we have been told now that 1.6 is coming from the Ministry of Finance total. So, yes. So we're going to have a shortfall of 400 million. The Universal Service Fund has been helping us as members of Parliament in the installation of free Wi-Fi. So it's in our interest that that body is supported, certainly by the Ministry of Finance. Minister, I had also asked a question: what is the future of USF in light of the dramatic fall off in revenues? How is the agency going to be funded, if not through annual allocations from the Ministry of Finance, which was never the intention, right? When the fund was established, it was supposed to be a standalone facility being generated from resources coming from external customers. What is the future of the USF? Certainly, how do you see the future?
Member, I'm a bit perplexed this morning because you usually are much more
corporate.
Minister Perplex. All right? Hyacinth Coley, how you do? Wagwan, long time. Perplex, Minister. Continue with the perplex, Sharon. Or whatever we want to continue. Please focus on, what is KFC man name again? J.C. Hutchinson. Focus on the paper plane and jostling with the paper. The minister has become perplexed by the question, which is what the minister came to the committee for, to answer question on the budget proposal and the money that he might go get and how he would spend and all sort of brew brand man. Continue, Minister.
Standing, not cooperative. I already said in verbally and reading from the document that a consultant has been engaged and we are waiting to hear the consultant report of the recommendations and the options that are open to us in relation to how to restructure
Top up the screen, please.
funding
TikTok,
of
top up the
Universal
screen,
Service Fund
please.
based on the thing. I can't go ahead of the consultant. I don't have that expertise to sit here and tell you. We have engaged a consultant, and I'm waiting on the consultant report.
Yes. Yeah, well, we're not hearing you clearly, but
Anthony Margaret.
as I mentioned earlier.
I'm not understanding.
No, as I mentioned earlier.
Want me to tell you?
Yes.
I
5 tranquilo.
Tranquilo, he said, Minister. Tranquilo. Jesus Christ, Mr. Vaz.
I just don't understand.
Yeah.
We have a consultant. The consultant report is.
We know you lack understanding, Mr. Vaz. You don't have to continue to repeat it. We already know that, Mr. Vaz. Repeating it doesn't make a blind difference. We are watching and listening to you, Mr. Vaz. You don't have to repeat it, all right?
Not complete yet. So what is it you want me to tell you?
5 years ago, my colleague had proposed a way forward for the Universal Service Fund. And for us, it's not rocket science. If you're not able to generate the resources from one source, there are other sources in relation to the same sector. I just want to know whether or not there has been any contemplation of that, or you're waiting for the consultant to make a recommendation. So for the foreseeable future, it is anticipated that the Ministry of Finance will be providing the funding.
If you need, Minister, you can have a glass of water as well. I don't think a deep breath is enough to calm the minister down. Minister, take a deep breath, drink some water, and start again.
Once we get the consultancy report and we know what the balance that is left in the fund, we will have discussions with the Ministry of Finance and come up with a final position as to what is the best way to restructure it. And the minister is telling me that, how much is there now? 10 billion?
Sorry, what did the minister say?
That there's funds that are there to hold us and carry us through until that time is finished.
How much?
She's saying $10 billion is what she's saying from the
$10 billion.
So the minister of Finance is telling me that from 14 billion, it is now down to 10.
So why is there a crisis then? The minister is acknowledging.
The only crisis that is a crisis that you are.
No. You have said that it's $2 billion. That is in deficit.
But remember, I'm
yes.
saying to you that we go back for money.
Yes, but if you have,
money is ring-fenced
I am not. Yes.
Come on, man.
No.
Does anyone, let me stop for a minute. Does anyone know Sophia Ramsey? Does anyone know why JC Hutchison is there? If you do know, please type it in the comment for me. If you don't know why JC Hutchison has attended the Finance Standing Committee, sitting next to the minister, please type it in the comment. Jesus Christ, it's getting worse, worser, and worser.
We need to clarify this because I'm aware of the 14 billion, right? If the minister is saying that you still have $4 billion from that 14, why are you running a deficit of $2 billion? Why doesn't the Ministry of Finance allocate the money that the USF earned?
Yes. And the minister should be concerned about that. That is not rocket science.
I have nothing further to say. Absolutely nothing further.
Thanks,
if it
Violet.
is during the financial year that we need additional funds to carry out the programs, we will do what we always do. What you are trying to do is to tell me how to
Franklin,
spend the money.
Natush.
You are telling me how to try and spend the money. We have an arrangement. We have made a budget for Universal Service Fund, and we will carry out that budget that has been tabled.
Let me tell you now, Western Portland people, no come quarrel with we, no. Uno choose him. Western Portland, uno choose him. So come, we end up with him. So no come quarrel with we. Uno push him in our way. Continue, Minister.
In 25-26 budget year, if we need or we see where we can spend it and we need additional funds, we will happily allocate it.
The Minister said he won't go into these, but just for my own summation, Minister, my understanding is that the USF has accumulated funds, which was 14 billion. It is now down to $4 billion. It is now down to $10 billion. So the Universal Service Fund has no problem really. And why are we therefore seeing a deficit of $2 billion? Huh? Yes, if you have the cash.
So Minister, I heard the summation. I heard the summation before that it appears, regardless of carrying a deficit, the numbers budgeted is based on what you are able to spend usually, and in the event that you are able to spend more, in the event that you have more to spend, the option is always available in the supplementary to go back to
your
the Ministry of
blackness,
Finance.
welcome.
And Minister is therefore asking us to accept and move on from this point.
What there is a deficit in terms of earnings. We're not earning what we used to earn, and that has to be taken into consideration.
Minister, can we look at Petrojam? Petrojam is estimated to make a loss. Sorry, estimated to have made a loss in the financial year that is ending March 2025, which is 26.77 million US dollars. Perhaps we could get an explanation now as to the way forward for Petrojam. The questions were asked this year and you had answered them, but the answers that were provided gave us an impression that Petrojam would not be in the state. We've heard recently about the deal with Trinidad and Tobago. Is that the way forward? What is going to happen to Petrojam, and especially in light of those recommendations that were done 5 years ago and are still being contemplated by the cabinet?
Thank you, member. So just by way of background, the financial projections for Petrojam for 25-26, and then I'll go back to the question. The total sales for 25-26 is projected at 12.78 billion barrels. These volumes comprise 6.6 barrels to the local market and 6.1 barrels for export. Barrels. The working capital support of $5 billion loan, the final payment of that $5 billion loan dispersed by the Ministry of Finance and Planning to Petrojam as working capital was repaid in full in June 24.
Let me stop here and say to Alak John, good evening, Alak John. We know you're the finance minister by stealth. The budget would have been written by Mr. Alak John. You couldn't get them together and sit down and revise the budget properly with them, because it look like Nigel do something where they may understand a little more. But Jesus Christ, John, this budget where you write, none of them not understand it, you know. Not even the minister who will be presenting it next week, Tuesday, dear God, will be a historic day in our parliament, because it will be the first time a budget presentation is done by a female finance minister. Poorly hopes, dimwit of the right order. What a turbulence to come. But we're going to end it here. When we come back later for, when we come back later for the people's point of view, we will look at SSL and justice, because dunceness was making itself normalize in our honorable house today. And we have to bring it to you that weep not for Favour Williams. She is not the only dead dick of our parliament. Thank you very much for being here this evening on Drive Time London. Lovely to have your support. We will come back. We'll probably look at Dana, because, you know, Dana is quite a good flatterer. So she was flattering her way through at the Finance Standing Committee. But, you know, it's a theater. Politics and war are theaters. What are expected when you're in those theaters is to be great actors. Thank you very much. Good evening and good afternoon from Global TV. Thanks for being a support to our Drive Time London, Lunchtime Global. We will definitely resume at 12 p.m., 11 p.m. UK time, and 6 p.m. Eastern time. Thank you and goodbye.
If you don't like missing out on the latest shows but still enjoy classic hits, then Global TV Group 358 is your perfect match. Global TV Group 358 isn't just another channel, it's your ultimate TV experience. From breaking news to binge-worthy dramas and timeless classics, we've got it all. Our unique blend of original content and global favorites means there's something for everyone. And guess what? With GTVG's seamless streaming, you can watch anywhere, anytime. Plus, our interactive features let you be part of the action. So, whether you're a seasoned binge watcher or a casual viewer, Global TV Group 358 is here to keep you entertained day and night. Don't just watch TV, experience it with Global TV Group 358. Subscribe now and never miss a moment.